Greetings. I am man go by the name Quinn, and today I am actually doing this video, right? And I'm trying to seek audience with the Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. Christopher Tufton, from the Jamaican government, saying, as it relates to the article came out in yesterday's Observer, dated the 26th of September, yesterday Saturday. Tufton calls for an end to COVID conspiracies. And if I should read a little bit of the article, it says, in Falmouth Trelawney, Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. Christopher Tufton, has dismissed what he called the reckless circulation of COVID-19 conspiracies in the public domain, which he said only serve to compromise government's response to the virus, which is now in the community transmission phase. And it reads, I quote, "You have the COVID conspiracy around election and when it was called, and whether you announce information before or after. You have the COVID conspiracy around vaccination and whether you in league with Bill Gates in order to push vaccination on black people. You have COVID conspiracy around drug trials, with things being circulated about whether we are doing this in the interest of the people or doing in the interest of the industry. There are too many COVID conspiracies that are dominating, unfortunately, mainstream conversations, which, frankly speaking, does nothing for the COVID response but to undermine the strategic thinking and the collaborative effort that is necessary to advance an effective and efficient strategy to overcome this global threat and this threat to the Jamaican people." End of quote, said Tufton. "We are very sincere about what we are doing," Dr. Tufton argued, I quote, "and so far, as a country, we have done well in containing the spread of the disease. Thus, we mustn't beat up on ourselves," he added. "There are many persons who have had much greater difficulties, some with far more resources than us, and never got it right until late in the day. I commend the public health team. I recognize the contribution of persons who have spent 15, 18 hours a day, 24 hours a day, around the clock on standby, responding and developing an approach to dealing with this public health threat for the last 7 to 8 months. Long before the first case came to Jamaica, many are tired, many are burnt out, but they stick to the wheels and do it as to their obligation to the health and wellness of the Jamaican people." Then he said, "We cannot allow the COVID conspiracy or COVID conspiracy theorists to undermine the effort of the COVID response. He implored Jamaicans who are doubtful over government's modus operandi in dealing with the measures to contain the virus to seek audience with the Ministry of Health and Wellness for clarification." And I'm going to stop right there for now. As he mentioned, seek audience with the Ministry of Health and Wellness for clarification. And in my own view, I'm thinking I don't need clarification, or for the most part, I don't think the so-called Jamaican people need clarification. We need verification. That's what I would want. Some form of verification as it relates to evil. Think about it. When the government questions citizens relative to a crime or any suspicious activity, it is called an investigation. But as soon as the citizen, well-thinking citizens, so to speak, might have an idea, say something might near that, as them say, smoke without fire. You understand? It kind of funny because I don't think certain people would be just saying stuff just off of the top of them tongue without seeing some other stuff happening, or some stuff that they don't see happening for the matter of that fact. Right? But as soon as the citizens start to make past certain remarks, right, it is called conspiracy theory. And if you go back and research that term, that term first came about quite a few years ago, right? After some act of government was done, so to speak, in order to hide certain agenda. And the CIA came up with that term, so to speak, and it became mainstream as it relates to anytime the government try to do something, government of whatever particular country, try to do something that the people might catch up and understand say something not right, and them lick out against it or talk about it, it come across like it's a next set of people, some conspiracy theory. I know it is false, but you know, I am not trying to undermine the work of your ministry or even your work, Mr. Minister, but I hope that you will get to see this video. I understand, and see how much more you can be a little bit more transparent, because one thing that I question is, I remember some time gone by, maybe 2, 3, 4 years ago, if so long, when the crime rate in Jamaica was so high that for whatever reason, if someone should drop flesh, somebody dead, saying once an autopsy is required, sometime for the most part of it, the family of the deceased, they had to wait like for months before the body would be released for burial and that kind of thing. And one of the reasons for that, or the main reason, was because they were short of pathologists, right? And my question to you, and I hope you could able to, I hope you would be able to answer, is all of these allegedly, I'm gonna use the word allegedly, COVID death, right? Where the media report it from time to time, or one more COVID death, 2 more COVID related death, and the total number of COVID death is 27 or 35 or 65 or whatever it number is, right? If you could make these death certificate public record, I'm not Mr. Know-it-all, and I'm not sure if they are in public records already, but how accessible can the general public, the Jamaican people, since you're working in the interest of the Jamaican people, let them see these death certificates as to the nature, the cause of death, which is supposed to be listed on these death certificates. Because what I like to see them, to see what is the cause of death, so to speak, if COVID had killed people like that. You understand me? Tell the children the truth, as Bob Marley said, right? You understand me? You know, make those death certificate public record. I'm not sure how the Freedom of Information Act, if one could request death certificate having no relationship to a deceased person or whatever. I'm not sure, but I just think a little bit more transparency, right? Because it does not make sense to me. At what point did they do an autopsy? Come like if you're dead today, tomorrow you hear say a COVID. I don't never did have COVID. You might have diabetes or some other ailment, and you pass on, you drop flesh. You just hear say a COVID. That is how it is being reported, right? The other thing I really want to talk about, Mr. Minister, is as it relates to these gifts that the Jamaican government have been receiving over time from different governments in the region, from the Americas or the United States, so to speak, because every gift you get, it come from the United States government, which is not no one person. And I want to ask you, and I hope you'll be able to answer with clarity or verification too, if Jamaica or the Jamaican government is any signatory to any convention, any memorandum of understanding, any agreement, any international agreement as it relates to receiving gifts, right? How much transparency can be afforded to the Jamaican people, because just look at it. It's easy for people to get up and say, oh, them send hospital come out here, these mobile hospitals, and some of these money will come through different agencies of the United Nations. I understand, and them come across like gifts and grants and all these things, but the people don't know without a shadow of a doubt that these gifts, they are not being accepted for some benefits of the person giving the gift. Because we have seen from time immemorial where through the stroke of a pen, representative of government just sign some document and just give away the people them rights unbeknown to the people. And the people them have a right for know some of the stuff, because it's just like you have your house and any reasonable parent or a good parent. See the picnic coming at the house with some things, or just bringing some things in the house where you think say you need for account for. Any good parent are going to ask how you come by this, and you need an explanation. And in this case, the people of Jamaica kind of forget say, hey, them are the parent, you know. And them make the government. So the government supposed to be held accountable for all actions. And for some reason, them keep on dumbing down the people, man. Even look on the education curriculum, which is drafted by an agency of the United Nations, the UNESCO. And them a teach, and them tell we what we supposed to learn. You find say, a youth will go through high school and even have basic fundamental structure of how the government really set up. Remember, yeah, I'm going to teach you. I mean, see one little red book here. That little book here, I love it to God. I love it. I love it. This little book called New Civics for Young Jamaicans. I don't really see them book here out there on the market again by L.C. Ruddock. I think I used to have one green one and you have the red one. See them book, and it helps you to understand the functions of government, how the youth them relate to government and how the government accountable. You understand? And I not see where even the journalists of Jamaica, Dean Jackson Miller, Earl Maxim, Garfield Burford, I will know we try to undermine the great work that you guys have done. But on another level, I think I personally and most well-thinking Jamaicans need more formal investigative journalism, because you guys are the buffer between the people and the government, and it can't be a case where as the government them say something, you just run come say the same way without investigating on the people's behalf to bring some form of verification of truth and correctness to whatever is being said, because I know everything the government say are true, you know. I know everything them say is true, and it kind of sad for no say it's as if they are the parent and what them say and that really go and that to have to do when the people them have rights, and that is something that it seems as if we forget it, like a government alone have rights. We have rights too, and for the most part I've seen where the government infringe on the people them rights over and over and over, but because government say a data go on and a data go on. See? But go back to the gift. I found a thing on the internet called Policies and Procedures Guidelines for Gift and Donations to the Ministry of Health at Jamaica. Right? 2 Oceana Complex, 2 to 4 King Street. And this document, the table of content list, some different stuff. I will read a particular part, background 1. It says 1.2. It says the main source of funding to the public health sector are from the Government of Jamaica Consolidated Fund, National Health Fund, private insurance, development partners to a limited extent. Right? It says the development of the policy and procedures guideline for gift and donations is in accordance with the following key initiatives and policy directives in the ministry and the wider public sector. 1. Circular number 17 dated June 10, 2013. The Ministry of Finance and Planning, Public Expenditure Policy Coordination Division, file number 107/125. Guidelines for the acceptance of and accounting of gifts to the Jamaican government. 2. The revised policy and the procedures guidelines for gift and donations to the government of Jamaica, dated the 28th of December 2011. Right, policy objectives, I might skip that, or policy objectives, yeah? I could go down a little further, and one of the part that I highlighted, it says conflict of interest. Gifts will not be accepted as an incentive for hidden benefits, rights, or privilege to the donor. The Ministry of Health reserves the right to assess whether potential gift could impair its objectivity and independence in conducting future arm's length commercial or non-commercial transactions. The Ministry will also maintain and uphold the provisions of the Government of Jamaica procurement guidelines in force. And just one for a better word, people are wake up across the world right now and see what's happening with the government in the different parts of the world, and the government them take the people for granted for too long, and some people really start to rebel, right, by probably not participating in election, or them participate without real rational and a really overstand what go on. Seeing? But I'm thinking, as I go back to transparency, Mr. Tufton, through the Freedom of Information Act, I would love to see you come forward and present documentary evidence showing how the chain of command of these mobile hospitals and all these things, all the signatures, all the notice that were sent when they offered to make the gift or donate the gift. Would I love to see them something there? The journalists, them would I love to soon go out and ask these things, because having provided such information, I think that would be able to kill the conspiracy theory, as you call it. It would allow the people to feel comfortable in themselves and say, okay then, no trickery now going on here, so you know, them real, them legit. No fix up nothing and come tell we. Make we see it where I go on, because as me say, we disassociate ourselves with the functions of government, and that allow no much room to keep up corruption and bullshit the people them. I mean, I accuse no government, and I'm not affiliated with any politician or any political party for the matter of that fact. Just a disclaimer right here. I'm just a man on the land, well-thinking man who have the interest of the people at heart, and from time to time I've seen where, as I said before, the people's rights have been encroached, violated big time through different representatives or different arms of government. And it's just because some people might not feel for talk, or they might talk and them not look deep on some stuff like how some other people would look. But the people them need to know without the shadow of a doubt that these gifts no create no conflict of interest. I remember in the middle of the pandemic when the Cuban doctors, or you guys got aid, different Caribbean countries got aid from Cuba as it relates to medical professionals visiting Jamaica, carrying out functions and helping with the pandemic. And at a certain point in time, certain senators of the United States, they started to lash out and saying, hey, they're gonna pressure any one of them Caribbean countries that will continue to take aid from Cuba, right? And I never see nobody at Jamaica get up and come out and say, boy, our closest neighbor this, and if them decide to help, we have to accept the help and work in accordance, right? The government of Jamaica more lean towards the United Nations, and I'm not sure about their mandate if it is for the wellness of the populace overall. I say that without apology, saying it was only the Prime Minister of Barbados, who is a woman, and she alone get up and say, oh, then hold on, if we the over here say we can handle own affairs, how you want to come dictate to we who we must take aid from and all these kind of things? So these are the questions that me want to ask, and I would love to see you come forward, Mr. Holness and Mr. Tufton, and present a thing to the Jamaican people with much more transparency if you make them see, say, hey, we got to know back, because to me it look like some sellout are going. Some sellout. I don't accuse nobody, you know, but it look like some benefits and privileges run. Saying, and people, the government does have to follow one particular mandate of the UN, the United Nations, right? Which, the truth be told, Jamaica is not even a country, so to speak. It is a trust territory, which is different from a country, designated and under the administration of the United Nations through the British Crown. It is not a country, as we are often being told. But leave that for another topic, for another time. I just want you to come with some level of transparency to make the people them know, say, hey, alright, that's right there, you know. This is what we have, this is what we are going to do, right? The journalists may call upon you again, right? Be a little bit more investigative in coming back to the people with information, because the people them need it. The people them not properly informed as to make better decisions. Look how them lock down the country, right? And feel like say, okay, COVID now walk at night. It might sound funny, me know what I try to do. I say less gathering. Look on down at Uganda. Them have the job down there where they call hydrochloroquine, where the president of the US was one of the first person who came out and accepted or mentioned that he acknowledged, I should say, that he took that that drug, or he has been taking it. And you know, the mainstream media beat him left, right and center. You understand what I say? And it look a way like now it presented to the people that this man is a madman and nothing can go so. Remember Dr. Fassi, I said, oh, if you want to do that when it is, no research was done. But other international news outlet reported that even Uganda, right, them have very few COVID death and them not do no social distancing or down there wearing a heap of mask like how them a tell the people them in some other part of the world for mask up and all these kind of things, and guess what? Them have the least death because of the same drug. So why is it now you really want to carry out the mandate of the United Nations and not seeking alternative measures? Could question that. The alternative measures is for the same drug, the zinc, the hydrochloroquine, right? What the people them need, are good for prostate. You are a medical profession, Mr. Tufton, and me no hear you mention them things. There is as if when you get one piece of paper from somebody in authority, we're just telling them what to do and just that and what to do. But the people them need answers, and I am demanding from you to come forward and talk to the people them and be open and honest, because something does not add up. Something does not add up. Something really not add up, and me alone see it. Enough people see it, and that is the reason why you are able to pass your speech as it relates to COVID conspiracy, because if certain things never look cloudy, nobody would not guess or feel a certain way about the actions of the government. But really, I say, step forward and talk to the people them from a level of transparency. Put out the information. Make we see the transcript of this whole them hospital, them mobile hospital we want to get as gift. Make we see, because them have to notify you at least 2 weeks before, so them will give you, right? Even though it's a pandemic or emergency, those things might not fall within the hardline protocols, but at least there must be some documentary evidence. Saying must be some form of documentary evidence where dictate or records to show the progression when it come, how much it costs. So just come out in a paper, journalist, oh, it will cost $199 million. Saying if set up and it got done within 6 to 8 weeks. When sometimes half of that the money they need for cost it. You don't know. But the money they sink off and gone somewhere else, and the people them there in a despair. Lack of hope. Lack of any sense of hope. And clueless as it relates to our going, and continue out there a fight in the name of power. For seat and keep phone pocket them fat. I mean, not discrediting the work as me telling you now. And not discredit the work, but remember the people them. The people them putting out there. Yeah.